Hey, good morning, Chief.
Yeah, good morning, cuz. How you doing? I was trying.
Jag minns ju den tid du gav mig life villa yo. Nu vill jag kunna ge.
Let me back his intro in real
Jag
quick.
minns ju den tid du gav mig life villa yo. Nu vill jag kunna ge tillbaka allt jag inte kunnat ge förut. Det finns ju ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö på det baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. Och det jag lägger är min tid. Jag vill ha dig. Du får mig känna safety. Vi kan nog leda baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig. Aldrig. Kommer aldrig känna.
Greetings. Bye-bye.
Hey,
How you doing,
hey,
man?
how you
Can
doing,
you hear me
Chief?
over
All,
there?
all is well here in Orangeburg. We've been celebrating our Black History Month at the Orangeburg County Library. We had some spectacular events going on. We've had the young contemporary artists that started the festival off. This past Thursday, we had Orangeburg legend Cecil Williams. I got to meet him and
Yeah.
talk with him. Of course, today is Super Bowl Sunday, so I'll probably go around the corner here and hang out at the Gullah Gardens with uh, um, with Sharika for a little while and see what's going on with that. How about you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Over here it's real mellow in Freetown right now, actually, man. It's been real quiet. It's been a real quiet dry season. But Black history for us is 365. So, I've been doing my research and finding more information out about, the past that's giving me more zeal to live today and make sure that my contributions go down in history for my future generations. So I feel great. I feel great to be alive. It's a great Black History Month.
That's good, man. That's good, man. All is well. All is well here in the Berg too. And I know you got something interesting to say about your USCT ancestor and all that, man. And I want to hear it, and I'm sure our audience want to hear it. What you have to say also.
Oh yeah. We're gonna dive in. So, um, I wanna let's kind of give it a few minutes, let people come on in.
Okay.
Um, and as they come in, they can catch us already, kind of let them know what's going on here. So we decided to have this show, particularly because I don't know if you've been paying attention, but next week is our next week, or I believe the next 2 weeks will be our 1 year anniversary for the Gullah House Show, and this is episode 21. So we've been rocking and rolling, and it's been a great experience. I believe I go back every once in a while and watch different videos. Man, so much content, so much powerful information we've been able to gather and disseminate just in within a year. So I'm very excited about going into the second year with the Gullah House Show, making improvements, and really just trying to use the show as a platform to generate impact in the community. Not only online, but in real life community. Like I really commend what it is that I've seen you grow into in the community over the last year. Now that people know that we have a platform and we're actively involved, it's been beautiful to see the community embrace you, to see you also step up to your role in the community, man. So I commend you for that. And we're gonna keep rolling, man. We're gonna keep rolling this. But today's show is very special. It's the first show that me and you actually had for just to have a conversation with the audience, to really like just give them some vibe and talk about a few things that's very important for the organization and for the show as well. But for the people, for Black history. So this is our Black History show. Of course, we're going to theme it around Orangeburg, particularly because Gonona is running what we call the Orangeburg Gullah Geechee Heritage Project. That project was created in recognition that Orangeburg County, South Carolina, is one of the most pivotal locations and contributing populations towards the preservation of Gullah Geechee culture and history that has been wiped out and overstepped and crossed out of the whole conversation up until this point. And myself and Baba Kemoh having those Orangeburg roots as well as roots all throughout the Low Country and really all across the United States of America, felt obligated to begin to let people in the community know, hey, you know, we got them roots too. You know, hey, you know, we got some African ancestors that was out here too. You know, start to talk to the people in our own district, in our own county, in our own part of the state, so that they can begin to understand, like, you know, we're all one. That history happens to all of us, and all of us contributed to that history, and it continues through us. So it's a very important conversation we want to have, and we break it down into 3 parts. The first part we're going to discuss today is Orangeburg's role in Gullah Geechee history, studies, and preservation. We're going to talk about that. We have 5 points that we're going to touch on. It's basically 5 main key arguments that any person from Orangeburg can say, look, man, we do have a Gullah Geechee heritage. We do have a historical connection. We did, and we do contribute to the preservation efforts. So we have 5 key points that we want to elaborate on. And then we also have, want to introduce you guys to the Gullah Leone Lost and Found Project. The Gullah Leone Lost and Found Project is something that we're going to elaborate on more later, but it really, just to keep it short, it highlights on the findings and the achievements of Baba Kemoh, our Vice President of Organization, our Chief Elder for the community, who has been working tirelessly to reconnect his family, including myself, to our relatives in Africa, particularly Sierra Leone, for the last few years. So it's not a new thing. Baba has been really, really going in for a while. And so, you know, to shine a light on the findings of that, as well as to give cases in which we have used genetic genealogy in order to discover information about ourselves. So I'll be telling the story about one of the ancestors that I descend from, that I've been able to trace back to 1840, who has a great story to tell. Baba Kemoh will be doing the same, and he'll be giving you more about how the connection from Orangeburg jumps over the Atlantic and directly into Moijueh district, Sierra Leone, a small village called Foday, where we've discovered a cousin through his own DNA test. It's very, very, very powerful thing. We talk about it a lot. You might follow us on Facebook and see our posts and think that all these guys are just full of it. But the reality is that we do just as much research as any other intellectual or researcher out there. But we do it on our own lineages so we can make sure that we know how to teach other people how to do it. Nobody will do this research for our families but us. And so it's very important for us to lead the way by showing that. So we'll be giving some examples. Those of you out there who know, I have a very beautiful wife who rocks and rolls with me 100%. She serves as the president of the organization, and she'll also be talking about how she discovered her Gullah Geechee roots as well and connection to Sierra Leone. You know, without ever having any knowledge. Like, for instance, you know, you knew of the South. I knew of the South. I heard Geechee in my family. I understood certain things. But she actually grew up completely detached, completely displaced away from the culture in a whole other region of the country, and was able to genealogy and genetics, able to trace her roots all the way back to St. Helena Island, South Carolina, in the 1700s. So it's a very, very, very powerful movement and thing that we're doing. And it's scientific. Anybody can do it. We're here to assist others, but we do want to be able to sometimes come with the receipts. And we're going to do that today. We're going to come with the receipts. We're going to talk and have a very detailed conversation about what is all this blah, blah, blah about Orangeburg people being Gullah Geechees. What is all this about Gullah Geechees having a festival in Orangeburg? I heard they talking about having a festival in Orangeburg. Yeah, that's us. We definitely talking about that, and we're going to need your support, your help. It's never about Gullah Geechees being an isolated people. We're African people. We're going to need everybody's hands on decks. It ain't about what you know. It's about doing the right thing at the end of the day. And so I feel as though if me and Baba Kemoh and the rest of the community and brothers and sisters are stepping up to do something positive, to put Orangeburg back into the light in a positive way, we're going to need Orangeburg to show up for us. Every level of it, top to bottom. So we'll be talking about, last but least, the Orangeburg Gullah Geechee Heritage Festival, which is being proposed for October this year, and we're going to need all hands on deck. With that, Baba Kemoh, I think I'm going to start with the first point of the initial conversation. First of all, the reason why we say that Orangeburg has a role in Gullah Geechee history, studies, and preservation. Drum roll. Number one. And at the top, I never want anyone out there ever to forget this one fact about Orangeburg as it relates to Gullah Geechee people and the studies and the preservation efforts. Orangeburg is the birthplace of Gullah studies. In 1929, Dr. Lorenzo Doe Turner heard the language known today as Gullah Geechee being spoken at the campus of South Carolina State University while he was teaching a summer class. And just hearing that language that first time led him into a lifelong research journey into the language and the culture and how it related to world history and culture and just everything. So Dr. Lorenzo Doe Turner also earned the title of being called the father of Gullah studies. So me and Baba is always talking about how this brother from 1929 to 1949 basically did the fundamental research to prove that Gullah Geechee is not only a language for itself. It wasn't broken English. Not only is it a language for itself, an Afro-Creole for itself, but that when you study the language and the people who speak it, you come up with a different narrative of history. You come up with a different population within the United States of America that's distinct and unique in and of itself because they have this heritage and this history that's unique to them. You come up with this Gullah identity all of a sudden because you have people who speak the language, you got people who have the heritage, you got a territory where people's ancestors are buried at, where they had an ethnogenesis and things like that. And so it's very, very important to know that without the studies, many people wouldn't know who we are or what we are. Without Dr. Lorenzo Doe's breakthrough studies, we would not have had the recording that connected the Moran family back to the Jabati family in Sierra Leone through a song. We wouldn't have had it. A lot of people have created careers. A lot of money and resources have been circulated because of the fact that Dr. Lorenzo Doe Turner heard his students speaking Gullah Geechee in Orangeburg in 1929. And so this is a very, very relevant fact. I'm going to pass it to Baba Kemoh because I know he want to elaborate. A few years ago, he did a short video, went out there to the university and did a little short video. You can check it out on our YouTube channel. But yeah, Baba, what's it like in terms of like being out there and knowing this information and knowing that the average Joe walking down the street don't have no idea about this one primary connection, that the fact that the study of Gullah Geechee people started in Orangeburg?
Well, Chief, first thing I want to say is you mentioned something about you mentioned that this is our 21st 22nd show, and I like that. Yeah, we've been doing this for a while, but to get to what you're saying, yes, I've done lots of research on Dr. Turner. Yeah, he was right up the street here from my house here, on State College. I was recently talking to some people that was trying to figure out exactly what building and everything he was in on up there on state. But he was here. He was here in South Carolina. He was up here in Orangeburg, right up the street. And yeah, it's deep, man. Orangeburg should be considered part of the Gullah quarter just for that fact alone. If he hadn't heard it here first, it would not have prompted him to continue his research. So that's what drove me. That's what drove me
Yeah. Yeah.
when I first started hearing about Turner. I started doing research. I said, "Oh," I was like, "Oh wow, oh man, he heard this right here in Orangeburg." So Orangeburg should be considered part and parcel
Mhm.
of the corridor, you know. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah. Oh yeah. At least they should recognize. At least they should recognize.
and oh yeah, man, and as far as what you were saying, as part of as far as us being Gullah Geechee, of course, man. I know I've done the research. I know they was bringing us up here from Savannah River up to Edisto from the Low Country. They was bringing us right here. These colonials here in Orangeburg. Um, they was doing business in South Carolina, in Charleston, all the time, bringing African captives up here to Orangeburg. I have several ancestors that were brought up that way: Sarah Pedro, Caesar Hart, Jim Ruff, um, Sam Taylor, just to name a few. Just to name a few.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's and I grew up like that. My grandfather may have not called himself Geechee, but he was Geechee all the same. You've heard me
That's
talk
right.
many times. You've heard me talk many times about Papa Joe and Mr. Bill.
Hmm.
I mean, and other men I grew up around. A man named Gun Kennedy, a man named John Livingston. They were all proud Geechee men. My uncles, they were all proud Geechee men.
Hmm.
They were all proud. I can't say it no plainer. That's what they were. That's what they did. The Cleckleys, I mean the Johnsons, man. We've been here. You know what I'm saying? We've been here.
Hmm.
And I came up that way from the time I'm born in 1960, and the first 10 years of my life was spent out with my maternal family and my paternal family, and we did the same things every other Geechee community did. You know, we
Hmm.
raised animals, we did the farming, we ate lots of rice, we ate tons of rice, man. I can remember going. We didn't grow rice here in not. I mean, we did grow rice here in Orangeburg County, but my grandparents themselves used to go downtown Orangeburg here and buy huge bags of rice, and that's what we survived. We had everything else. We had the animals, we had other vegetables, but we always bought
Hmm.
large bags of rice and grits. Rice and grits. I done ate so much grits, man.
That's
I'm not a
right.
grits eater. I'm not a grits eater too much these days because I ate so much as a kid growing up. And
Hmm.
my wife would tell you, no, he don't want no grits. But I do have my rice now. Got to have that rice. And even when I first went up north to New York and Brooklyn, that was one of the first things they ever called me. Oh, he's a Geechee boy from South Carolina. Yeah, they eat a lot of rice and this and that. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Geechee in the blood, you know.
It is what it is. So, just a little fun fact, get us back on the conversation, right? Um, Dr. Lorenzo Turner was born August 21st, 1890. He was born the same day as Turner's Rebellion, Nat Turner's Rebellion, right? But he died February 10th, 1972. That would have been yesterday. That would
Yeah.
have been yesterday. And what you think about doing a Doe Turner Day in Orangeburg?
I mean, I believe that there should be some sort of recognition of what he did here in Orangeburg because he first heard the language here, And I believe that should be remembered. I think he should be recognized from that. I believe it all started here. It started here first. Matter of fact, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but you may mention this later on. When the first Sierra Leone president came to South Carolina, he came to State College first, I believe,
Yeah,
1989.
we're gonna talk about that.
I don't want to get ahead of myself, but that's what happened, and I believe
No, it's
that
cool.
Dr. Turner should, Orangeburg should be a part of that. It should be remembered. It should be recognized for that. We have connections not only with Dr. Turner, but Orangeburg has connections to the Penn Center and everything. It was
Yeah. This is some. This is that's some of the. That's exactly some of the points that we're going to talk about. Exactly,
right,
point by point. You
right,
know, it's the exact. It's the exact points. It's like I said, oftentimes we browse through it. We just throw it out there, but we never sit and elaborate on the information with the people. And this round table give us opportunity for that, because right now we got some nice viewers coming. Hey, y'all go ahead and share this. Make sure you're liking it. Make sure you're making your comments. We'll go ahead and tag them up on the screen. We're just gonna be mellow and slow walk it today. So of course we knocked down point one, the Gullah studies, and also absolutely Orangeburg. Let's think about that. Doe Turner Day, something. Doe Turner Festival, Doe Turner something. We got to pay homage to those who, even though he wasn't from Orangeburg, he wasn't an Orangeburg native, but he came there, elevated the status of our community. He came there, and he contributed. And many, many people come to Orangeburg from other places for school, to teach, or to learn, and they help to elevate the community. And I think that's one of the things that's very powerful about Orangeburg, having two HBCUs, is that as well as we can say that Orangeburg has contributed to other communities, we can say that other communities have also contributed to Orangeburg. It's like a big melting pot. It's like the place where everything, mixes up, the pot. And so I think part two I want to go into, and you was just touching on it for sure. It's the fact that it's not only the birthplace of Gullah studies. Orangeburg County is also the birthplace of the first and the last Black executive directors of Penn Center. I'll say that again. Orangeburg County is the birthplace not only of the Gullah studies in 1929, but it's also the birth of Black executive directors of Penn Center since 1969. So Doe Turner discovers this Gullah language at State in Orangeburg in 1929. In 1949, he releases his book, Africanisms in the Gullah Dialect. 20 years after that, 1969, Penn Center, the former Penn School, the first educational institution created to educate freed Africans after emancipated from slavery. The oldest Black school, the first school created to educate us by the federal government, quote unquote. It converted into a community institution. And in 1969, Penn Center got its first Black executive director. That's 1969. Penn Center had been around since 1862. So the first 107 years, even as we talk about the time that Martin Luther King spent in St. Helena at Penn Center, it wasn't under Black leadership. It wasn't under Black leadership at that point. The direction wasn't on the Gullah community or the rights. It was on a whole nother agenda. They have used Penn Center for Peace Corps trainings often. You know what I mean? So Penn Center had been used for many different reasons. And speaking of Peace Corps, just to elaborate, Dr. Lorenzo Doe Turner, he wasn't just the father of Gullah studies. He was one of the main intellectuals of the African Studies movement, the African American Studies movement of intellectuals who went into these colleges and universities, got this information, and started to regurgitate it back to the community. He's one of those pioneering figures in this African Studies movement. But he also contributed to the Peace Corps training manual because he had spent so much time traveling to Sierra Leone, to Jamaica, to Brazil, studying the different Creole languages so he could understand the history behind them, that the government used him to create the Creole English manual for Peace Corps. People coming to Sierra Leone. People don't know that. People don't know that about Dr. Lorenzo Doe Turner. But there's a Peace Corps connection to Penn Center, and there's a Peace Corps connection to Penn Center and Dr. Lorenzo Doe Turner that we typically overlook and we don't understand. But again, you don't get any of it without Orangeburg. So the first Black executive director of Penn Center in 1969 was an Orangeburg man born in Utahville, same place as Sister Myra Davis, in Orangeburg County. His name was John W. Gatson Sr. He attended Claflin. Eventually, he graduated from University, South Carolina. After that, he went down to Beaufort as a teacher. And in 1969, he became the first Black executive director for Penn Center. And that's how it got shifted from a non-African agenda into a local Gullah Geechee Black agenda. Whatever Penn Center is after 1969 is largely because of the directorship of men, Black men like John W. Gatson Sr. and others like Emory Campbell, who also served as executive director. So they transformed the nature of this institution into one that would become the most premier and prominent Gullah Geechee institution. Secondly, you had a man named Bernie L. Wright. He's also from Orangeburg County. He was the executive director from 2002 to 2007. That's a very, very important time to be the executive director because if you recall, it was in 2006, if I'm not mistaken, that the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor finally got ratified by Congress, by act of Congress. So you didn't have a Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor until that time, but people were campaigning to get it done. And during that time, the executive director for Penn Center was an Orangeburg man, Bernie L. Wright. He actually returned back in 2021 to 2023 to function as the interim. And so now, right now, they have a brand new, like only a few months, executive director. I can't think of his name right now, but he's not from Orangeburg. But this is why I said the first and the last Black executive director for Penn Center were born in Orangeburg, just like the studies. That's the second contribution. Baba, chime in on that, please. I know you got something to add to that.
Well, I know that not only that Bernard Wright, MLK, has been down to Penn Center. Felicia Rashad has done some work down at the Penn Center. The Penn Center is a very important place. My very good friend Tammy McCartry, she's connected to the Penn Center. She's here in Orangeburg right now, doing events at the conference center. I always like to say that Orangeburg is a small town with a big history. You know as well that that's one of my favorite sayings. A lot of famous people with Gullah Geechee heritage have been connected to Orangeburg itself. Turner's been here. The men you mentioned, Gatson and Wright, they all came from Orangeburg. The Sierra Leone president, when he first came to South Carolina, he came to Orangeburg. My good friend John Matthews, the senator, the first time when they went to the Gullah Geechee homecoming and everything, they Orangeburg was connected. Mr. Matthews is from Bowman, that's part of Orangeburg County. So, like I say, Orangeburg is small town with a big history in so
Yeah,
many different ways, and people just don't realize how important um, Orangeburg has been to not only Gullah Geechee history, it's also been important to civil rights history with the legend, Mr. Cecil Williams, who is doing his thing here with his museum that he's trying to open up here. Oh man, Orangeburg is. I love being from Orangeburg, man. Orangeburg is a good. When I was coming up, it was a good place to grow up. You know,
yeah, man. That's positive, man. You know, it's important because sometimes I talk to my little cousins out there, man, and they don't see it. They just don't see it like that. You know, they see it like Orangeburg is is a hellhole. It's a trap. You know, I don't know what they got going on out there, but you know, that's why I think it's very important for us to do this intervention. I think it's very important for us to show that there is, you know, a big history and a lot to take pride in. You know what I'm saying? And being and having that connection to the bird and whatnot. You touched on almost everything, the rest of the points. I just want to elaborate on them because you already basically touched them. Like you said earlier about President Joseph Sadu Momo, his visit to Orangeburg. A lot of people don't know. I'm just throwing some facts out there to elaborate the point so we can, you know, accentuate the point. But you know, that was his first visit to America. He had never been to America. That was his first official visit. And I believe his plane touched down in Colombia, but they went directly to Orangeburg. And he first addressed the first crowd in, at State, and then he went down to Penn Center and other parts of the Low Country, Charleston, to go address different crowds. But it's important to note that he did his first stop again
was
was
Orangeburg.
Orangeburg. Orangeburg has
That's
a lot of firsts here.
that's a
But
very important point.
it's
That's
also,
a
it's
very
also
important point that he
it's
took
a
the
very
time
important
to
point.
make his first stop here first. Very important.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very important. And then on top of that, you know, behind the scenes, of course, there's people organizing and promoting and doing things like that that you never see. You just hear the history. So there's other players involved behind the scenes. In the mid 70s, a historian by the name of Joseph Opala, he originally came to Sierra Leone as a Peace Corps member and got involved heavily into the researching of Bunce Island and this Gullah connection to Sierra Leone work. He's actually honored at Penn Center for being one of the elders from the 1862 Council or whatever, right? So, you know, Joseph Opala has done a lot of research, and he also has played a role in facilitating this connection. It goes beyond his research. While he was here in Sierra Leone, Joseph Opala was also doing work with the government here to promote his research, and a part of him promoting that research was informing the government about the connection between Gullah Geechee people and Sierra Leone. Was very, 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 very key, very, 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 very important for him to do. And even though he Bukra, he did it. You know, he found some kind of interest in doing it. You know, I'm grateful for the blessings, whichever way they come, because it ended up getting to the interest of the president. And if that president wasn't interested enough to say, "Hey, man, you keep telling me that there's this connection between us and Sierra Leone to these Gullah people in America. Take me there. Take me there." And so when he answered the invite and said, "Okay, take me there," my people need to see that it's official. And what other way than the president of a country? What higher official do you get than the president of a country to come and recognize and talk Creole with the Gullah Geechee people in Charleston and Auna they do and enjoy the rights that we prepare and say, man, this is Jolliffe. So it's a very, very, very important connection that most people would just, you know, quote and not go deep into, but there's a background behind all of this. So Joseph Opala, we have to credit him for his research and for his advocacy in Sierra Leone when no one else was here to do it. Because had he not done that, then the interest of President Joseph Saidu Momoh would not have been there. It would not have been there. And to go further back, if it wasn't for Dr. Lorenzo Doe Turner, there wouldn't be a Joseph Opala, because he piggybacked off of his work. So there's a continuum in this research. There's a continuum in the historians. There's a continuum in who's documenting what and who's researching what. And so I'm saying all of this because it's very, very important parts, ingredients of the whole overall thing that we're trying to get across here today. In 1988, when Joseph Saidu Momoh came here, the president, when he went to South Carolina, it opened up a relationship. It redeemed the relationship that had been severed. And we have to give credit where it's due. When he got there, they went to Orangeburg. Look, let me show you. Let me show you him in Orangeburg. You don't believe me? Look at the screen. That is President Joseph Saidu Momoh at South Carolina State University, November 1988. That is him. That is him. And here is the newspaper article as well from that day. Sierra Leone President Momoh visits SCSC. Major General Dr. Joseph Saidu Momoh, President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, visited during the academic year at South Carolina State College. You understand? So it's been documented. We're not just saying things that aren't documented, things that aren't true. You understand? But anyway, this aspect led to Gullah Geechee community, the leaders who also had hosted who had hosted Joseph Saidu Momoh to return the favor and now come to Sierra Leone on the first historic homecoming. And so the president officially invited representatives of the Gullah Geechee community, some that he had met on his trip and some that had played roles in him coming in the first place, to Sierra Leone so that that official relationship can be recreated for us. Now, this was 1989. So the following year, there was another tour, but it went the other way. I believe 12 to 14, don't quote me on that. I believe it's 12 or 14, but it's not more than 14 and it ain't less than 12. Individuals came back with the historian Joseph Opala. They came back. The leader of the group was Emory Campbell, who cousin Roland is saying right here, if we're not correct, he will be honored in St. Helena soon. I don't know if Penn Center is being renamed Emory Campbell, but there's a project or a program that's going to be coming back to the Penn Center that's going to be honoring his name. And so Emory Campbell is one of the community elders and one of the natives of Hilton Head Island, one of the islands that oftentimes also get overlooked. But Hilton Head Island was also the headquarters for the Union Army during the Civil War. And it was the place, the site of Mitchellville experiment. It was the place where the first freedman community was being created back in 1862, 63. In the middle of the war, they was already creating institutions to deal with this emancipation of these Africans. It was happening already in Beaufort County, South Carolina. It was happening first there, in fact. And so Hilton Head Island is one of the places that has been completely gentrified by now. But at one time, it had a predominantly 90%, 100% African Gullah Geechee population. When we talk about land grab and gentrification, we're talking about places like that, where you go now and there's so much mass wealth and it's not in black hands. And, you know, a lot of the documentaries that you will see covering our fight for land in the Low Country, in Beaufort in particular, will show you the fight being, you know, centered right there at Hilton Head. So Baba Emory Campbell, who also goes by the name Pa Corey II. He was the leader, the leading elder, the leading Gullah Geechee elder who organized the rest and brought them to Sierra Leone with him to return and answer the invite of President Joseph Saidu Momoh. And together they conducted the first Gullah homecoming officially. That happened in 1989. And among them, and since we're talking about Orangeburg, we got to keep getting back to it, right? Among them was no other than this brother here, John Matthews.
My friend.
If you're not from Orangeburg or you're not from South Carolina, you might not know who this is. So I'll say that John Matthews. In fact, that photo that just left the screen was from the actual documentary of the homecoming. That photo, it was from the actual video you can find on YouTube. But here you'll see John Matthews is a senator or a former senator. He's a former senator, John W. Matthews Jr. This is the brother who was from Orangeburg County, South Carolina. Again, I believe it was Bowman.
Yeah, he's from Bowman.
Yeah. So again, you have this senator who actually, and let me get this straight, if I'm not mistaken, he was the longest standing black senator in South Carolina history, if I'm not mistaken. This brother here, he was a senator from 1985 to 2021. From 1985 to 2021. So maybe out there in Orangeburg, you didn't know that our very own Bowman, South Carolina, born and bred John W. Matthews Jr., our former senator of the state, the longest standing senator of South Carolina, was also involved in this Gullah homecoming. Not only involved, but he was there. Again, here he is at the homecoming. At the homecoming, the group who came also consisted of several Seminole freedmen elders from Oklahoma. So there were Seminole freedmen elders from Oklahoma that was included in this Gullah homecoming. And during this Gullah homecoming, the Sierra Leoneans took the elders to a particular place in the country. They didn't take, you have 149 chiefdoms in Sierra Leone, just to let you understand. You have 149 chiefdoms in Sierra Leone. Am I correct? I believe so, 149 chiefdoms.
Yes.
But they brought them back to a particular chiefdom called Corey chiefdom, Kori. If you remember, I just said that they called Emory Campbell Pa Corey II. The chiefdom is named after the founder, a man named Pa Corey. So they named Emory Campbell, our elder from Hilton Head in 1989, Pa Corey II. And they didn't just name him. They crowned him the honorary paramount chief of all the Gullahs. They did it at a place called Tayama, which is the headquarters of Corey Chiefdom of the Kapa Mendes, Southern Sierra Leone. This is the place that we're going to be revisiting as Baba Kemoh gets into his genetic DNA, because we found relatives in this very chiefdom. And we'll be hopefully bringing them on board in the future as well. But as you see, it says here, the people of Tayama welcome the Gullahs to Corey Chiefdom. This is 1989. I was 10 years old. This is 1989. So that's just to give you some more background as well about, this historic figure of Joseph Saidu Momoh. Also to emphasize more on Emory Campbell. A lot of people don't know that he was the first Gullah Geechee honored to be a paramount chief. He was the first Gullah Geechee to be recognized anywhere in Africa and crowned accordingly, made an honorary chief. And he was made an honorary chief in the same chiefdom by the same people that me and Baba Rock got family connected to through DNA that we are already talking to. So it's a big Orangeburg connection here that we're getting to because we embody it as well. It's not just um, talking about what other people have been. So homecoming. Since then, there's been many other Gullah homecomings. Of course, people we know about the language you cried in documentary, someone. And yeah, you know, the Gullah homecoming and the language you crying documentary come from this history that I'm talking about. Seeing, and they definitely don't mention Orangeburg's contribution, you know, and that's what this conversation is about. So, back Priscilla. The story of Priscilla. Priscilla was a small girl taken from a village in Sierra Leone that was that ended up in Charleston and enslaved by, I believe, the Ball family. And she's the only person who had a bill of lading all the way from being sold in Bunce Island, all the way to being sold in Charleston, all the way to her descendants, all the way up till today. Her lineage is tracked all the way from Sierra Leone in 2005. Again, this is historian Joseph Opala's work. In 2019, more recently, you had a homecoming that went under the radar. It wasn't necessarily a big homecoming, but it was an official homecoming. The government knew about it and participated in it. Myself and Kenya, Ganona, as well as other groups were able to participate in it. And it was the ring shout homecoming, whereas the vice chair for the U.S. Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Commission, Griffin Latson, also he used to be the head of the Geechee Gullah ring shouters down in Georgia. He brought the ring shout back, and we had a great event at the Miata conference here in Freetown. We did a lot of media and things like that. So you know, that's a homecoming. It ain't always got to be when Joseph Opala do it. It ain't always got to be when when the international media grab it either. Me coming home was a homecoming. You understand? Official or unofficial. You have the Gullah Roots homecoming in 2019, which was organized again by historian Joseph Opala and Amadou Masaleh of Fembo. I believe he's still organizing tours. For people to come over here, but and then last but not least, we had the Kumbaya tour where Griffin Latson returned again to launch his book. College did the event up, and it was great because it was well documented. It happened, and this is what it means. You can go back and see that these things actually happen. And so there's been homecomings ever since 2089.
19.
I mean, since 1989, I'm sorry, on up to now. And they're going to continue this influence, even me, Sierra Leone. Did you, for the discussion, some actual genealogical content? We'll be talking about, some of the tools that we use, some of the tactics that we use, some information that we've been able to find, and what we're doing with it. I have a great story to tell about one of my ancestors that I just got some information on that I have been wanting for years. I actually was barking up the wrong tree and looking for the wrong person, but I found the right person, and it's well documented. It's a closure to me. But Baba, please, in closing of this first conversation, the birthplace of Gullah studies, Orangeburg's role in Gullah Geechee history, studies, and preservation. What is your closing statement, Baba? What is your call of action to the Orangeburg community, the Gullah Geechee community, and just anybody out there who can support us along this mission?
Let me get my thoughts here right. Yeah, man, everything you've said has been right on point and valid and everything. I agree with you 100% with everything you have said. Orangeburg needs to be part and parcel of the Geechee corridor. As you mentioned, it started here, it began here. We need to remember and commemorate um, Dr. Turner for the work he done here. We need to remember that the Sierra Leone president, came here. We need to remember all of that. We need to remember our connection to Penn Center, and that all of that. All of that is a part of our history. All of that shows and proves that Orangeburg is connected. Orangeburg has been down from the get go, and
That's right.
my own research, my own lineage research proves that. Yours prove that. We're connected to Taima. I hope I'm saying that right. We're connected to Taima Kore chiefdom by blood. That's documented. It's proven. We have Sierra Leone ancestry. Is I can prove that all day long. You know, you yourself, Chief, been coronated as a paramount Mandinka chief and everything, man. So we've been doing this for the last couple of years. For the last what, 2 to 3, 4 years, we've been doing this thing, and ain't no doubt, man. It ain't no doubt whatsoever that Orangeburg needs to be part of this um, Gullah Heritage Corridor.
That's right. That's right, man. That's right, man. So I think we can move forward from that aspect of the conversation. I just want to take a second and shout everybody out there who's making these comments, man. Appreciate y'all motivation. Stay tuned in. We got more coming. For those who like information and just like knowledge and wisdom, and is on this same path. Um, you know, make sure you share it. Make sure you share this. Make sure you let other people know what's going on. This conversation is very, very timely, and hopefully it's inspiring you yourself. So we're going to go to the second part of this, which is Gullah Leone Lost and Found Project, or let's just say Lost and Found Project, because it's actually larger than the Gullah Leone aspect, but we are going to be emphasizing the Gullah Sierra Leone connection within this portion of the discussion. So in this part of the discussion, we're going to be talking about our
Yeah.
our genealogy. We're going to be talking about our family trees. We just spent the first hour basically talking about the general history, the basic history of things. We spent time talking about, just the details that usually get left out to rally up to the point to put this family genealogy and this, utilization of genetics to find out even more about, who you actually relate to, just to learn more about your history, learn more about yourself. You understand? Have more to pass down, more legacy, more information. And so, of course, this is a journey that's not for the lighthearted. You have to be ready to confront the truth and live by it once you know it. And for me, I guess I'll go into my presentation if you don't mind, Baba. And then from there, we can go over to your own. And then I know Sister Kenya got some stuff she wanted to get off her chest. And we're gonna open it up after that, man. Get the rest of you guys who's watching, y'all can go ahead and come on and contribute your conversation as well to the next topic. But I'll go ahead if you don't mind. I got your permission, Baba.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead and do your thing. I want to hear about your ancestor. It's a fascinating story. I think the people will be fascinated by it. Um, Not too many. Well, a lot of us may have people that participated in the Civil War for rights, but your ancestor, he has a unique story, one that I think the people should hear. So go ahead and do your thing, Chief.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, thank you, Baba. Thank you very much. So with no further ado, let me go into this. First of all, I'll just give you some background information. Um, so this ancestor that we'll be talking about today, I've spoken about him publicly at times. Um, I've known of this ancestor um, for most of my life. Um, I've heard legends about this ancestor. What I know now was that there was so much that was mysterious about him that people were filling in the blanks with stories. Or maybe he was telling people stories and so they didn't know his truth. I don't know. But this symbol of freedom in my family, this source of pride, is a man who comes down in history documented as Charles McClellan. That's McClellan, McClellan. And of course Charles, y'all know what Charles is. But it's not, put like this: in 2005, my family, who descended from Charles McClellan, and a woman named Maggie Rivers. Maggie Rivers was from Cope, South Carolina. They are my third great grandparents, direct on my maternal line. And so my mother was raised by a daughter of Charles and Maggie. Um, Even though it was her oral history that passed down to me, and some of the things that my family has been unfolding about it. And again, I'll go back to about 2005, where our family, the McClellan family, the descendants of Charles McClellan, had our first family reunion in decades. The story is our family used to be very, very tight, but we have so much family and everybody went in so many different directions that, we had lost touch. And so the elders, people who was approaching 100, 80, 90, they made the call. They said, man, we need to get everybody together. And from that higher level of the family down to my level, I was in my 20s, the word went out that we're having a family reunion in Charleston, South Carolina. The McClellans, the descendants of Charles and Maggie. And so my mother attended, my sister Felicia attended, I believe my sister Latia attended, my brother Edgar attended. Several of my household siblings and my mother attended this reunion. I wasn't able to travel at the time. I didn't do it. But I was very actively involved in it, especially in being a listener and a supporter for my mother as she was trying to recall what it was that she wanted to say at these reunions, what she wanted to bring to the table. She had to jog her memory. And so I was there always to ask her the critical questions, unconscious of myself starting my genealogical journey. But it was during that time that I became aware of certain stories about Charles McClellan. One thing that I learned about him was that a United States colored troop. I did not know that until about 2005. I had no idea that my ancestor, I came from someone who actually was one of the 190,000 black men who fought for freedom in the form of being the USCT. I'm sure other people fought in other ways. I was just showing you about the bummers that followed Sherman's army, Baba. People fought in other ways. Sister Myra Davis was telling us about Rebel Rose. So, you know, our people fought in other ways, but in terms of those who put the uniform on and got the musket, you know, and was under military order and things like that, I was fascinated with the fact that I had an ancestor who was the patriarch of this whole branch of my lineage that the elders were now calling together. And so for me, it was like an eye opener. I became fascinated with this particular ancestor, Charles McClellan. Charles McClellan. And later on, I began to ask other elders in the family about what they knew about him. And I heard the story that he was originally kidnapped. He was kidnapped. He was born enslaved, but he was kidnapped from his slaveholder. He was kidnapped at a time where he was following the Confederate Army in town. They was playing the band and he was following the tunes and somebody gripped him up. Later on during the war, he was forced to work and watch the animals, the beasts and things like this, the cows, the oxes, the camp, whenever the Confederates went out to fight the war. So he was held captive and forced to slave labor by the Confederates during the war. This is oral family history. This is something that I know because my family came together almost 20 years ago and started to remember these things and wanted to make sure that my generation got this information. It was a deliberate attempt. And so I've always taken it very serious because, like I said, I've resonated with this ancestor and others, but particularly Charles. So another thing about Charles that I learned was that Charles was a name changer. Charles was a name changer. Charles' original name wasn't Charles McClellan. He actually had a different name prior to that. And nobody was sure what it was. My mother, for whatever reason, she thought it was Smith. And I did research. I did the research. A few years ago, maybe about 8, 9 years ago, I contacted a genealogist, sister named Tony Mitchell, I believe. What was his name?
Carrier.
Carrier. I'm sorry, Tony Carrier. She was able to take the information that I gave her at the time, which was Charles McClellan, possibly also known as Charles Smith. And he was a USCT man, and he settled down in Ridgeville, South Carolina after the war. I don't know anything else other than that. She took that information and she found a pension card, several, for a man who fit the description, Charles McClellan, alias Charles Smith. And this person fought in the 23rd Regiment and of the USCTs, was a great fighter. And for years, because I wasn't able to get his actual military files, his actual pension files that would say, sure, this is my ancestor, or no, they have a similar name, but this is not my ancestor. I was not able to get those pension files. Well, recently, I recontacted Tony Carrier around Christmas time, and she gave me access to a genealogist that was able to dig deeper for me. She was able to get his pension file of the pension card that Tony Carrier had got from me years before, and we did the research on that. Immediately, as I began to read it, I understood, whoa, this isn't the right guy. This guy's in Oklahoma. My ancestor was never in Oklahoma. So it began to make sense that, okay, I'm barking up the wrong tree. This is not my ancestor. Now, something else happened was that I found other documentation of Charles McClellan that were military related. Years ago, maybe about 2-3 years ago, I found a document that was a special schedule. It was only a record of the living survivors of the war, USCT, the soldiers, the sailors, and their widows. Burns Township, where Ridgeville is at. There's about 12 people, 12 former USCTs documented here. And one of them is my ancestor, Charles McClellan. What I didn't see on the document at that time was that his alias that he served in the USCT under was also there. In fact, I'll show it to you right here. His name was not Charles McClellan. His name was Charles McClellan, but his alias during the Civil War was not Charles Smith. His alias during the war, as you see here circled, was John Martin. John Martin. And he served as a private in Company G of 128th USCT Regiment. He served on provost duty. He was enlisted in March. He was discarded in December, all 1865. Now, I was happy to find that this is him, but then there was also another question. What is his military history? I can accept that, okay, I was wrong in leading with Charles Smith, that maybe this Charles McClellan served in the war as John Martin. So where do I find him at? I found him in the 128th, but I also found someone by the same name in the 33rd USCT. We did the research. It turned out not to be my ancestor as well. It turned out not to be the same person. So we eliminated the person from the 33rd USCT because he died. He died in 1876. And one of his widows, or his widow, did a pension. She filed a pension for him. She tried to get pension, and it was denied. But he was dead already. Whereas we find Charles McClellan on this is 1890. So the other guy who went by the name John Martin in the 33rd USCT, he would have been dead 14 years already by the time my ancestor was documented here in Ridgeville, exactly where we find him on the census. And this is a census record here that's coming up. If you look at it, it says United States Census, 1900. The number one at the top says Charles McClellan, head, age 60, born in 1840. His wife's name is Maggie. And the third line, you'll see Agnes Middleton. That Agnes Middleton is my great-great-grandmother. This is the same woman who raised my mother in-house in Orangeburg County, South Carolina. She was born, as you see here, it says July 1877, and my great-great-granny died in 1969. So she lived a very, very long time and knew a lot of information. She's the one who passed down that her father was a Mandingo, that they had a legacy, a history of being Mandingos. That's what they believed themselves to be. So to go deeper back into it now, I want to know more about my ancestors' history. So I did some research and I found them. So, okay, this is the John Martin. This is the 128th Regiment that they're talking about on this schedule that I found. This is the guy. This is the guy. Another look at the schedule, the actual schedule. You can see it here. This is the actual schedule we found them at. If you look at the pink, where the pink is at, you'll see that on line 6, you have John Martin and Charles McClellan. If you go down to line 6 on the bottom, you see it says Ridgeville, South Carolina. So I'm guaranteed 100% sure that the Charles McClellan on this special schedule right here is the same one in the 1900 census with my grandmom as his daughter. And so just to give some documentation, this is what you have to do when you go into this research, because like I said, up until recently, I was literally claiming the wrong Charles McClellan as my ancestor, not knowing, because I didn't have access to the military documents. So now that I've clarified that, I've corrected my error. It's not Charles Smith. It actually was John Martin. Okay, let's move forward. So I found that John Martin, he served in the 128th, but there was something that happened. And this is the story that I want to tell you. I told you about the story of him being kidnapped and being forced to work at a Confederate labor camp. Ultimately, it's believed that he was rescued from that camp by USCTs. It says, I asked one of my cousins, he told me, he said, early in the morning they woke up and the whole camp was surrounded by Union soldiers. That's how he got free from being kidnapped and held by Confederates as a slave at the camp. So that was his first step into freedom. Somehow, some way, he ended up at the military base in Beaufort and enlisting in the military. That was in March. He was sworn into the military on April 6, 1865. To put it into context, I want you to understand that General Lee of the Confederate Army surrendered 3 days after that. 3 days after that. And then a week later, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in Washington, D.C. So my ancestor was sworn into the U.S. military, and then within 2 weeks, General Lee surrendered and Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. I want to give you that perspective so you can have that. He was stationed again in Beaufort. It was a camp called Camp Stanton. Camp Stanton. That was the camp. So it also, I found out that I didn't know how to feel about it at first, but that my ancestor deserted. He deserted from the military. I realized that in May that year, they were able to run down on Texas, and they were starting to disarm the Confederates in Texas now. So basically, the war was over in May. Then, of course, we know Juneteenth came about, right? That was it. There wasn't no more guns going off, right? The war was basically over. Now you're in the Reconstruction era, right? So I'm just giving you this highlight so you can understand the period of time that my ancestor was actually in the military. He was on provost duty or occupation duty, if anything, right? This guy, Charles McClellan, who was then going by the name John Martin, on June 4th, he ran away. He ran away from his post. He didn't just run away by himself. Him, his colonel, another private, and several others from other companies, they left. They ran away from the camp with guns and ammo. And they fled the camp, and they were brought back. They sent out a commando squad to go capture them. They were brought back on the 12th of June, 1865. And I was reading the court-martial documents, the actual trial documents yesterday, and there was some very interesting facts there. Here, I'm going to show you. This is the cover of the actual court-martial documents here for him, because he did end up being sentenced. He did serve hard time in Sing Sing prison in New York and everything like that for what he did. But this is evidence here also. As you see the name here, Private John Martin. Martin is underlined. You see his comrades, Norman Johnson, Henry Ferrari, Richard Riley. You see these other people who were 128th USCT soldiers, T-Row Ashmo. You find also those who were also in his same company, Company G. That all of these were being called on general order to answer to court martials related to them deserting. So this looks like to me, and I'm going to continue to dig into it, a group of USCTs who planned to run away with guns and ammo from their base. This is in June 1865. Like I said, the guns is already they already done shooting. The Confederates is already disarmed. But here is my ancestor. When I find my ancestor, I have to find someone who was being court-martialed, captured, and drugged back to a military camp. And at the end of the day, what really hurt me was that he was sentenced to a hard time, hard labor, no pay, until he was discharged on December 22nd, 1865. So he was captured on June 12th, and he was released on December 22nd. This is the true military history of my ancestor. And I hope my family is watching because we've been wanting to know this information truthfully for so long. And you know, I don't have a photo of Charles, but I do have a photo of his elder brother, Israel McClellan. This is Israel. The man you see here is my great grand uncle. He married a woman named Martha Wolf from Orangeburg. And they ended up moving down to Jacksonville, Florida. And that's where a large part of their family still is to today. And that's my Florida-based family. So he probably looked something like his brother, you know? I can see a little bit of me up in there. I can see the high forehead and, you know, the brow. I can see the cheekbones. You know, I can see the resemblance. So this is one of my ancestors as well. I'm not a direct living descendant of him, but he is a direct ancestor of mine. I spoke about. Let me see. I spoke about Agnes. Where's Agnes at? Okay, I spoke about Agnes. This is my great grandmother Agnes McClellan. You see, even though Agnes McClellan is buried in Cope, South Carolina. She's buried at Emmanuel AME Church in Cope, South Carolina. That's where she's buried. Don't worry. That's where she's buried and where she's interred. And this is another photo of it so you can see clearly. Now, again, I'll show you. Here it's saying she was born in 1876. She was actually the fourth born of 12. Charles and Maggie McClellan had 12 children. She was the fourth born. And by the time they passed away, she was the eldest. So she was the big mama in the family. So from 1876 to 1869, this woman was alive. It should be 1877 there. I don't know who made it 76. It should correctly be 1877. But this woman here was a powerhouse in my family. She was the oral historian. She knew everything. She had given birth to 3 daughters. One of them was named Maggie. She named after her mother, Maggie Middleton. This is my Middleton lineage. Her father's name was John Middleton. So John Middleton and my grandma and my great grandmama Agnes McClellan got together and had a daughter named Maggie Middleton. Maggie Middleton became the mother of my grandmother here. This is my grandmother, Agnes. This is my grandmother Edna Starks. Originally Edna Middleton, but she married a man whose surname was Starks. Everyone in Orangeburg would know her as Edna Starks. Her house is still there on Gulf Avenue. If you look at her face, fine, you're gonna understand who she is. I got aunties and uncles out there, Uncle Bubba, Aunt Brina, my Aunt Trina, Uncle Douglas. Keep going. That's my mom's siblings. So I am an Orangeburg native, complete. But this is my grandmother here. Her name was Edna. And I don't know if you can tell, but she had blue eyes. The darker that she was, she had a different color eyes. but she is a direct descendant of Charles McClellan. As you can see again, you see the cheekbones, maybe you see the eye sockets and things like that we share in common. You see the gold teeth right there too. You know she's from Orangeburg. And of course, she is the mother of my mother, who was her name was Catherine. We called her Mama Cat. Um, she also was born in Orangeburg native, and she's the one who Orangeburg. Let me see. I didn't see her post. Uh,
Yeah, I see it.
you see a photo up there?
Yes, yes, I see her. Mama Cat.
Man. All right, so I'm just going. I'm gonna go out from there. All right. So I'm gonna stop there. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop there and just end it there and say that so for those people out there who are studying their roots, just know that you can dig up records and find out more than just the oral history that you get. It doesn't have to be that at all. So for myself, I would
Oh, oh, I think we lost the chief. Well, I guess I could. He should be back here in a minute. I can go ahead on and start my presentation about my particular ancestor, which is Jim Cleckley. Um, ooh, I think we have lost the chief. Oh, there he. Oh, well, I think he's trying to come back in. You there, Chief? Okay, I can go ahead and talk. Okay, well, anyway, I will go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
good. Sorry about that, man. It can happen
Okay.
sometimes. Technical difficulties. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you heard last, but maybe you can let me know what you heard last.
Oh well, we just heard you coming to the conclusion of your ancestral history. If you want, I can go ahead and tell you about the story of my ancestor Jim Cleckley and the
Yes,
good.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
well
sir.
I will. Well, I will go ahead and try to tie this all into um, Orangeburg and Sierra Leone. Um, I myself, I am a direct descendant of Jim Cleckley. And Jim Cleckley was born in 1847 in Orangeburg, South Carolina. He was one of the original trustees of Good Hope AME Church. And a trustee is a person who is responsible. The trustee handles the secular aspects of church management. He is responsible for assuring the values of the church is upheld, and that was one of his responsibilities. Jim Cleckley, he was enslaved by the Cleckley family here in Cope, South Carolina. And like I said, he was from Good Hope, and the original members of Good Hope, you know, they were highly spiritual, religious people, and they would hold religious ceremonies in in something called a bush harbor, a thick grove retreats called a bush harbor, and that's how Good Hope started. Like I said, um, he was he was born in Cope. He was enslaved in Willowtown. He was on the Cleckley plantation. His parents were Wash Johnson and E.B. Hicks. And like I said, they were newly emancipated, and they took the Cleckley surname. They were originally Johnsons. My ancestor was a Johnson, but after the Civil War, Grandpa Jim was given the choice to either take the Johnson name or the Cleckley name, and he chose to take the Cleckley name. And like I said, he was the original trustee of Good Hope, and he was with men named Gabe Huggins and hold on, he was with Gabe Huggins and Amos Bellard and of course Camden Wade, and of course he was Jim Cleckley himself. And like I said, he was enslaved in Willowtown, uh, Good Hope. But the thing with him, the thing that ties him into Sierra Leone is Jim had 12 children. He had 6 boys and 6 girls. His oldest son was a man named Henry Cleckley, right? And I am a descendant of the youngest daughter, who was Mary Cleckley Gass. Okay, she was my direct ancestor. And how we tie into Sierra Leone is not too long ago, a couple of years ago, I took a DNA test. And through DNA research and analysis, I matched up with a gentleman called Macaulay Coker. And I found Macaulay through Ancestry.com. That's how I found him. I reached out to him and he got in contact with me. Now, Macaulay was born in a place called Fula Wule in Mayamba district in Sierra Leone. That's where he was born. That's where the generations of his family has been. That's where he comes from. And I was shocked by that because, like I said, I was just putting locations in Ancestry, and it showed him being in Sierra Leone, in Freetown, that he was living in Freetown, and he's a descendant of people who were from Taima chiefdom. Like the chief said earlier, Taima is the place where the the Geechee people, when they did the first Gullah homecoming in 1989, they went to Taima Kore. That's where they went to. And Bakole's family has been in Taima Kore for generations. That is the ancestral home of the Gullah Geechee people. So that would make Chief and myself descendants of these
That's
people.
right.
And Taima Kore chiefdom, Mayamba, that was the hot spot. That was the hot spot when the slave raiders came, slave catchers came, the Portuguese came. That's where they went to. They went to Taima Kore chiefdom. They went to Kemoh chiefdom. They went to Lower Bambara chiefdom, and that's where they were snatching our people up from. And that is our connection to Sierra Leone. Chief happens to be living right in West Africa, where the Mende people come from, and he was in contact. It's funny that he was in contact with family members, and he didn't even know he was in contact with the family members. Bacoli proves that. Like I said, I've talked to Bacoli many times over the last year. And if you've been watching the show, you've heard me speak about our cousin Fatia. And Fatia, she's on one side of Sierra Leone. She was in Kenema district, and Bacoli is in Mayamba district. We're right there in the middle. We're right there in what they call the Gullah Forest region, the Gullah Forest area. And that's the same area. That's the exact same area that the people who went to the first Gullah homecoming say that the Geechee people came from, that area. And that's where we are from. That is our ancestral homeland.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you some questions for clarity. You know, I like to ask you questions about these things.
You can pull it out. You go ahead. Go ahead. I'm ready.
Um, when you talk about Papa Jim, you know, our ancestor Jim Cleckley, him being a Johnson originally, because his daddy actually was a Johnson.
Yes.
But you know, after the period of enslavement, a lot of our people took on names for different reasons. I just read the other day that there was a sister who changed a brother who changed his name just because his uncles changed their names to Roe. He was like, well, I like that name better than the name that I chose for myself. And he jumped over to his uncle on them name. And that first generation of free people could do that with no problem. They could be one person today, another person tomorrow. And you know, we see it in the documents. I remember I seen Ed Sharp's person in Cope, and then I seen him over in Norway as Ed Thompson. Same person.
Same person. We're related to the Sharpsons also. They're connected to the Johnson family, which is the Root family. Jim Cleckley could have been well, he was a Johnson. Like I said, his father was Wash Johnson. His mother was named E.B. Hicks Johnson. E.B. Hicks, and she was married to Wash Johnson. See, the thing is that Jim worked in the big house with his mother, E.B. Johnson. But he had a choice after the Civil War. They gave him a choice, or he took the choice, or whatever. He could have took his father's name, which is Johnson, but he chose to connect himself to the Cleckley surname. And so any Cleckley you see in Orangeburg County, any Cleckley you see, any Johnson you see, if they come from Cope, they come from Norway. I don't care who they are. I've never met anyone from Cope or Norway that I was not related to by blood or marriage. And it's not only the Cleckley family that relates to Bacoli. You have the Stromans and other families that also go back to this place. They all go back to this place called Stromans. And as I said, Taima Kore was where the Emery Campbell Auntie Pearlie Sue. You mentioned Senator John Matthews. That's where they went. They went to Taima Corey. So
Yeah.
and they gave him the title Pa Corey. And those are our people. We have a blood connection to those people. Now they were ceremonious, connected to them by ceremony, special ceremony, but we are actually connected to them by DNA, by blood.
Yeah.
So we have kinfolk right there in Corey chiefdom that we have developed relationships with. We speak to them on a regular basis and everything. So that is our connection to Sierra Leone, to Orangeburg. They were shipping us here directly from Bunce Island to Charleston.
Yes,
I see my young cousin who was on the show last week, Roland Williams. He's also a Stroman descendant. He's our cousin. He's our relative. Roland is lucky enough to know his direct ancestor, African name and everything. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is. We are directly connected to Sierra Leone. Oh, okay. He just said we could call him Dominique. He's Dominique Holiday. He's connected to us through the Yan family, which the Yan family is connected to the Cleckleys, which the Cleckleys is really Johnsons. The Johnsons are connected to the Stromans, to the Govans.
Goes back into the circle.
It's all a big circle. Not only do I study the African side of our history, I even look at for the Buckra side. I study the white man. You have to, because all you have to do is look at the surnames. The surnames will tell you exactly who had who was owning who was passing us along as wedding gifts and other things of that nature like that. These people, they was giving us away. They owned us lock, stock, and barrel, but we broke free. We are here today. We're the generation, we're the seeds that's still here, and we're here to tell the story. And the story is that we are directly connected to Taima Corey. We are directly connected to Fuya Wule. That is one of our ancestral villages, amongst others. I've also found ancestry amongst the Bakongo people. I found ancestry amongst the Igbo people. Balanta, you name it. We have kinfolk up and down the west coast of Africa.
Right. It's powerful that you would say that, man, because we always hear in general history that the African Americans ancestors come from West and Central Africa. We hear the general ideal, but what we've been doing is getting down to the details of our own lineage, and it's powerful. I would have never thought. You know how many times I've been to Moijueh? You know how many times I rolled through?
Yeah.
You know how many times I rolled through the chiefdom and didn't know that, yo, this is where my people from.
That's what's so amazing. What's so amazing about that is that here you are, Chief, a direct descendant of a USCT veteran. You made it back to West Africa, and you walking in the same area that our ancestors were kidnapped from. That's where they were kidnapped. That was the hot spot. That was exactly the hot spot. That and other places, but Sierra Leone is home base.
Not only that, but this region in Sierra Leone was the hot spot. You got to understand, like Sierra Leone, it got regions, but this particular region, Tayama is named after a river. It means Black River. If you look, the Edisto River is the largest black river in North America. But they have a black river in Sierra Leone as well called Tai. That's where you get Taima from. And so now today it's called the Jong, Jong. But that river goes down and empties out into the Sea Islands of Sierra Leone, just like Edisto River goes down and empties out into the Sea Islands of South Carolina. And they're both black rivers, and they're almost about the same amount of distance away from the coastline. So when I look and I think about being a child and being a teenager visiting Orangeburg and walking around in that little sandy dirt. And I remember the nights and the time that I spent in Moijueh, right there in Kowai Chiefdom next door to Corey. I understand that the topography, environmentally, someone from Corey Chiefdom that would end up in Orangeburg, South Carolina would feel like nothing much has changed in terms of weather and environment.
Exactly. And that's what I say. Someone connected to Macaulay, someone connected to me and you. Someone survived that trip. Someone survived and made it the middle passage. He survived and he made it to Orangeburg. He probably came up through Charleston and everything, but he made it here to Orangeburg, and we are his direct descendants. And
Oh yeah,
that's what helped has me claim. That's how I claim my Mandingo Mende
yeah.
ancestry.
When you hear about the Amistad Rebellion,
Oh
and you
yeah,
realize that the passengers of the Amistad largely came from this same region. When you read the history of Corey Chiefdom, you realize that there's different clans of Mendes. There's not just one Mende group. There's different lineages and clans and different groups. That the Pa Mende, KPAA, Pa Mende, they are a clan of Mende who took on very radical military tendencies. They're very feisty, but they also are the group that specialized in like herbalism, herbal remedies and medicine and things like this. So these were the warriors. And when we talk about Mendes, we're talking about Manding warriors. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's what we're talking about.
this Kapa Mende clan chief is very important. This Kapa Mende clan through Bakoli and also Fatia. I'm sure you can look it up for yourself. It connects us to a woman named Madame Yoko, and
Oh, I
Madame
know.
Yoko,
For sure.
she was the leader of the Kapa Mende Confederacy. So our history goes back. Once you start digging into your lineage and everything, man, and you start looking at the big picture and you connect yourself to these different kingdoms, not only the Malay kingdom, you connect yourself to the Congo kingdom, you connect yourself
Oh
to
yeah.
the Erie kingdom.
They were connected. They were connected. Whether we know it
They
or
were
not,
all they were
look.
all connected, man. So,
Whether we know it or not, our ancestors lived in a world that was organized by society life and family life. There was no borders. There was no
right,
territory. People went as far as they went with their trades and their knowledge and where they could be secure. Um, only when Europeans try to package our history in their form do we come to certain conclusions about things. Even us saying Sierra Leone is borderline erroneous because it's a colonial name. The same roots that we have in Sierra Leone, we definitely have connections in Liberia and definitely have connections in Mali and Guinea because this is where these people come from. So it doesn't stop with Sierra Leone. And when you know the clans and you know the histories of the people, it makes you realize it's way bigger than that. Just like it's bigger than Orangeburg. You know what I mean? It's bigger than Corey. It's bigger than that too. So having that connection is powerful, Baba. I appreciate you. I appreciate you and Mama Lisa as well for encouraging you to get that DNA test. I've seen it with my eyes. I've seen your connections. I've seen Ben Coley being connected to 3 Johnson Cleckley descendants. Not one, not just you. Not just you.
hey,
3.
I'm gonna tell you, it's not just me. It is not just me, it is not just you. Now, going back to Jim Cleckley's oldest son, born in 1866, his name was Henry Cleckley. Okay. His descendants match up with Macaulay. My ancestor was Mary Cleckley Gass, who is the youngest daughter of Jim Cleckley. She was the youngest. Now they had 12 children, Jim and Chloe. So all of us have that DNA genetic ancestry. ancestry.
Exactly.
And like I said, it's also with this. He also connect the same person that connects to Bakoli that connects to me, and you also connects to the Stromans. So that's that not only covers Orangeburg, but it covers people in Springfield. It covers people in Norway, um,
Yeah.
in
Bamberg.
Bamberg. His descendants are all around. We have another ancestor. We spoke about him before, and his ancestors is this ancestors bigger than Jim Cleckley, so to speak. Caesar Hart. You know,
Yeah.
he Caesar is Baba. Caesar is the big
That's
daddy.
Baba. Yeah. That's
He's
him.
the big daddy. He got descendants from woo. I can't tell you how far his descendants
Everywhere.
spread.
Lexington, Calhoun, Aiken, you name it.
Springfield, Norway,
Mm-hmm.
and they still here. And this family has been mixing with each other for generations, and they still
Yeah.
mixing today. So we all have a common source, a common root. Like I
Yeah.
said, we just happen to claim Sierra Leone because we can prove that we're connected to the people in Foday. You know,
And we
and
Gullah
and, and
Geechee.
I'm Gullah Geechee. I'm an Edisto Gullah Geechee with Mende ancestry,
That's right.
with Bakongo ancestry, with Igbo ancestry. That makes me an ethnic Gullah. What you say? We came up with a term of our own,
Oh yeah.
Edisto.
We talk
The
Adisto Geechee.
Edisto Gullah Geechee, Geechees without borders.
Yeah,
That's what
man.
I like
Yeah.
to say.
It's a very powerful thing because when you think about it, right, you have this Gullah Geechee thing, and I was telling my wife the other day about this, that there's never been one dialect. The dialects are based on the regions, the areas. And then when you look at Orangeburg, Orangeburg was settled by Europeans from Germany and Switzerland. And when you look at like Georgia, it was settled by Europeans from Ireland. So that, of course the Africans would have a different twang in the way they talk. It would be a different dialect local to local. But just to highlight the history of Edisto, we talk about the Edisto Island, but you always highlight the fact that it was the Edisto Island, it was the Edisto River that was the original highway that was used by the
Yeah.
pirates and, and,
Oh
and
yeah.
by the slave traders to take our ancestors up into the back country. You
Man,
know, that,
I've seen the document. I've seen things that I found in Wikipedia. Them pirates was raising all kind of hell down around Charleston in the Caribbean, and they was bringing us straight up from the Savannah River up the Edisto River. Them pirates are like Blackbeard and the other
yeah,
Caribbean pirates, Black Caesar. Um, Man, I've read so much history, man, that
yeah,
it will blow your mind. It will blow your
yeah.
mind once you connect your own family to these people, to this
It's
lineage,
different.
to what was going on in history. It's amazing, man.
Yeah, it really is.
It is
It
absolutely
really
amazing. And I claim it. I claim the Igbo history. I claim the Mandingo history. I can claim the Bakongo ancestry. Because that's
Okay.
all Gullah Geechee people. That's all Gullah people, right? Geechee people, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it don't make no difference if you're in the low country or if you're up here in the so-called Midlands. All of my uncles were from the low country. My aunties, all of them from the low country. Um, Man, South Carolina is Sierra Leone. South
Yeah,
Carolina
it's a
is
gem.
Sierra Leone.
It's a
No,
gem.
no
It
ifs,
really
ands, and
is.
buts about it. And not only South Carolina, but the folks down in Georgia, the folks in Jacksonville, the Seminole Gullah, they were some bad boys. They was them Seminole Gullahs. They took off.
It wasn't no
They
joke.
ran from they ran from the plantations in South Carolina and Georgia. They went down to Florida. They went down to Texas. They was fighting all the way. The
Oh
Mandingos
yeah.
when they was coming the Mandingos, when they were coming from Mali, they were on the move. They came down from Mali to Guinea to Liberia, conquering all the way. It just so happened.
They was bangers already. They was already fighters.
It just so happened that we or they ran into us, however you want to say it, invaders, the damn Portuguese. It is what it is, man. But I embrace it all.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You just touched on the Seminole factor, man, and the aspect of our indigenous admixtures. Us
Yes.
mixing bloodlines voluntarily as allies with indigenous people from time to time. Some people would try to inflate that to mean that all of us are those indigenous people, but I like to keep it realistic that some of our people definitely did mix lineages and become family with some of the indigenous peoples. It
Oh, for
happened, or you
sure.
wouldn't have the Yamasi Wars. You wouldn't
Oh,
have the
oh, oh,
Yamasi
oh.
Wars. That's what that was.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, I'm proud of my African ancestry. I'm proud of my Geechee ancestry, but I also have. It's just a small smidgen, but it is there of Native Americans from Orangeburg, South Carolina, from the same area, from Cope, Springfield. We were there, and they
Beaver
mixed
Creek.
in. They mixed in with our Johnson Cleckley lineages.
You know what they
Jameson
used to
lineage.
call them? They used to be called Edisto because before it was a river and an
Yeah,
island, it was a people. And when you look
yeah,
at the Edisto River has a north fork and a south fork, and then it has land in between there.
yeah. And
Our family was enslaved between the forks.
right,
That's
and
where it
and
was
and
enslaved.
And they didn't even call it Edisto. It was called the Pon Pon River. That's what that was the native term for it, was Pon
Yeah,
Pon.
pom pom.
And I can look out the window. I'm looking out the window right now, and I can see the Pon Pon River. The Edisto River is right down the street from my house. So I like to go out there and pour libations and do my little
I
talk with
say,
the ancestors right there. Because that's where they chant. That's how they came up. That's how they
yeah,
came up the country. They came up the country. The colonists, the colonists brought them up through that river right
right.
there, which I can look out the window and see. It's right in my backyard. So I've been
So
here.
hey Baba, um, is definitely absolutely sure of who we are. I think we really, really, really knocked down this show. Today was great. We got one more part to go through though.
Okay.
We want to open up. The conversation. Let other people chime in. Add some of what they want to say. I know Kenya got a story to tell. She want to talk about her Gullah Geechee ancestry and how she came to know about it
Okay.
briefly, and then when she's done, I want us to really talk about this festival. We've been talking. You made a post earlier this week. I know me and you've been talking about it for quite a long time, but
Yes.
you made a post this week, and the response from the post was great. Local people right there in Orangeburg, even people who are as far away as Beaufort, far away as Charleston, saying, yeah, if you do that, I'm down. Ridgeville. And it's because, and it felt, just even though it was a post, it felt real good. Because for the last few years, we've been struggling to get people to recognize that Orangeburg is indeed part and parcel of the Gullah Geechee story and history and community. But to get the response that, hey, we want to do an Orangeburg festival. Geechee Festival, and people say, let's go. Man, I was excited to hear that. So that's why
Man,
we go.
man, let me tell you, man, I made the post a week, maybe about a week or so ago, and I put it out there. I said that I would like to see a Orangeburg Gullah Geechee festival here in Orangeburg, and the response I got was tremendous. Not only us, some other people would love to see that done. I would like to see make it happen, and I know people want to see it happen. I mean, we can start off small and see where it grow and see where it go from there. But it is
Yeah,
something that needs to happen, and that's how we can remember Dr. Turner. That's how we can remember our connection to the Geechee. It all ties in to one another. So, like I said, people have been reaching out to me, and I would love to see it happen. A Gullah Geechee festival here in Orangeburg.
Absolutely. Well, you know what we do, man. We put it out there first, and then we follow up with our intentions.
Yeah.
We put it out there. We put it out there.
Yeah.
Hopefully the ancestors, the Most High, work in our favor, and we can get it popular. I would like to see it happen in October this year.
Yes.
And in honor of Gullah Geechee Heritage Month. We got some great people in the region. We got brother Jalen out there. Jalen out there doing that roots. He out there, doing them baskets. We got She the chef out there making that Gullah Geechee food. We
Yeah.
got some. I think we got some of the top storytellers and authors right now in South Carolina. When we talking about curry, we talking about when you add Wayne O'Brien to it, and we invite Tandy up in there. Man, you just think about the kind of team we can pull together with
It,
Sister Davis,
yeah.
to at least get it started. Like you said, to get it started, it's our responsibility to do it.
To do
But
it.
after Kenya gives her account, we'll jump into that conversation. Hopefully, man, people can chime in.
Yes, greetings everyone. I'm Kenya Malinke Mansa, and I am one of the founding members of the Gullah Nation of North America. I met my husband back in 2012. I used to be in media. I used to be in radio, and I met him doing a tour. He was touring the Sierra Leone, and he was talking about coming to Africa, this, and that, and third. And I'm in a conscious community, quote unquote. Everybody's talking about Africa. Everybody wearing African clothes. Everybody African centered, but nobody is actually doing anything with Africans. He was the only one that I saw actively working for the benefit, not just our people in America, but in Africa. So I was impressed. So after that, he came on our show, one of the best interviews we had. I joined the movement. I became a member, and soon after, he came to Sierra Leone. I learned about Gullah Geechee at that time. I heard about Gullah. I knew about Gullah Jack. I didn't really understand the whole people type of thing. You understand? I knew Gullah Island. My siblings used to love the show. So I really didn't know much about it until he came. He was talking about his mama was a Gullah Geechee and things of that sort. I was intrigued. In 2014, he started organizing to actually form the Gullah Nation of North America. After we've been, he was trying to connect with Gullah Geechees in America and here to actually contribute and work here. It didn't happen like that. So he ended up creating his own organization, and I became a founding member of that organization. So I never really identified with the identity as a Gullah. Of course, we are African, we are African American, but I didn't identify with the people as my Gullah Geechee people. And my husband, he's a little genius, but he understood like majority of us Africans came, 70 to 90% came through the Charleston ports. Majority of us are Gullah Geechee, have the Gullah Geechee lineage in some type of way, form, or fashion. So I understood that portion. Myself, I was born in Chicago, Illinois. My mom people is from Arkansas. My father people is from Louisiana. So I'm like, okay, I'm far away from South Carolina. I ain't got nothing to do with them people. You understand? But I didn't understand like the westward expansion, the migration pattern, that's all that. I didn't really think of that. And so I started really doing my genealogy. So my grandmother took a DNA test for the family because we had some blind spots in our lineage. And I had a sister, Dr. Foday, who was like a Moorish scholar. She encouraged people to actually do this DNA test because they can take you back. And she said you should test the eldest member of your family because they will go back further in generations than you. So my grandmother was the eldest. She did the test in 2014. I actually had a chance to record her, my great aunt, my mom, just basically give our family history, all the names that she knew, and I still got the recording to this day. It's 10 years this year. So ask the right questions, get some family historical lineage information, names, locations. I knew her people. Her mama's side was from her mama and father's side was from Texas. Then her dad's side, he was born in I believe Tennessee. So I'm all over the place. No connection to Gullah Geechee. So 2014, she take the test. My grandmother passed away while I was here. It was 2016. August 2016, she passed away. I thought about it. I'm like, people. I heard people saying that they were able to take these DNA tests and connect through different like groups, like different websites. So there's a website called JitMatch that our late Paramount Chief, Harold Hillary, put me on to. I was able to connect and put her data inside that, and then I was able to share the code with other people, and we could see if we relate. One brother, I put the code out, who was already a friend. He ended up connecting to my grandmother, and he was from Riceboro, Georgia, Gullah Geechee. He know his people. I believe it's today his birthday. So we a DNA match cousin. And he knew his people tested through African ancestry as Mende descendants. You understand? So I'm like, okay, so my grandma got Gullah Geechee people. So come to find out, in 2022, on my birthday, doing some more research, I discovered my great grandfather married a woman whose name was Agnes Perry. He married her. I descend from Alex, their son, Alex Sr., and then my great grandfather is Alex Jr. But Agnes Perry was born in Georgia, but her mom was born in South Carolina. She was enslaved on St. Helena Island in Beaufort County, South Carolina. She was born in 1797 and enslaved by a family of, they say, prominent lawyers. Thomas Perry, the Perrys were like prominent lawyers in South Carolina, and they migrated over to Arkansas during the westward expansion or whatever, however. And she was older by then. So she went over to Arkansas. And then her daughter followed her and then went to Arkansas. And that's how my people get down there. So I thought my people was always just from Arkansas and Texas. I never knew of no South Carolina connection. I didn't know our Gullah Geechee connection until I did the work, genealogy or genealogical records and DNA testing. Mm-hmm. So it was amazing just to see that part, and I didn't notice of myself. So what we call it, the Gullah Geechee awakening.
Yeah, awakening.
It's a lot of people that's discovering their Gullah Geechee roots. Sometimes they heard it in their family. Sometimes they have never heard it. But if you ask your elders, the elder people in your family, the right questions, they will give you the answers. So since we've been doing this, we have so many people with so many stories. We need to create a segment, the Gullah Geechee Awakening, with people that never knew they were Gullah Geechees, that just because they knew we were Gullah Geechees and we were talking about it, they went and asked their family members to come to find out they Geechee.
Yeah, there's a list. There's a list of people that we've awakened to their own Gullah Geechee identity. It was there all the time, but they just didn't know.
What?
You know?
He's a Perry descendant?
He's a Perry.
What?
Perry's a prominent, they're very prominent.
That's a well-known name, not down in Charleston. That's a known name here in Orangeburg. One of my good friends who I grew up with, his name was Calvin Perry. So he was a good friend of mine, and I'm not exactly sure whether his people came from Charleston or whatever, but I know they're Orangeburg descendants, and I know the Perry family here in Orangeburg. Like I say, I grew up with them.
Wow,
that's powerful.
You never know. You never know. Like our own sister, Ganona member, Candace.
Yes.
Candace, come to find out that Candace and myself share a cousin. We may not be directly related, but we have a shared cousin. Okay. And that cousin happens to be Belante ancestry.
Okay.
Belanta and Igbo. And of course, Chief, we know we claim the Mandingos, but man, oh man, do we have a lot of Igbo
Yeah, we all
ancestors.
mixed up.
Yes,
We,
exactly.
We all mixed up.
that's what Gullah people are. We're multi-ethnic.
Exactly.
Multi-ethnic and majority African.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
They
oh
said
yeah.
Gullah Geechee has the highest amount of African ancestry out of all the African Americans in America.
Oh yeah, for sure. For
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Well, by percentage.
By percent.
One of the things I want to say about your own genealogical journey, because I was there for it.
Yeah.
I remember when I would talk about Gullah Geechee and she would be like, "What?"
I know nothing about
And I'd be like, "Man, you don't know about the people? Man, you probably Geechee yourself." You know?
You was talking about Queen.
And
I remember.
I remember her finding out these things and not really knowing how to reconcile with them, because here she was saying, "I ain't that, but you are that." You know, you are that. And then now you have to say, "Well, damn, but I was born in Chicago. My mama from Arkansas." And we have to now, as Gullah Geechees, go back and say, "Hold up, what is Gullah Geechee?
Yes.
What is Gullah Geechee again? Is it a lineage? Can it be passed from parent to child? If so, then it will defy. Then it will be Geechee without borders.
Yes.
If so, then just like everyone was celebrating Michelle Obama having an ancestry from Georgetown, you know, that same thing, that same exact thing, is exactly what Kenya has done.
It is, man. You will be absolutely amazed. Now you have Kenya here, but even Lisa, my wife Lisa, you know, her family is from James Island, Charleston, her maternal side.
Mm-hmm.
But her paternal side is from the West Indies. You know, she's from Barbados and Trinidad. And we have a strong connection, as you know, to Barbados. So this Geechee thing is way deeper than what we can than what we can imagine. Like I say, Lisa's pure Gullah Geechee. She's from James Island. Her people, her mom and them. I've talked to them. I've heard them people talk. They I've heard her father's side talk. I've heard the chief side talk. I grew up around Rastafarians and all kind of Jamaicans, man. I understand the Creole talk. I may not be able to speak it good, but I can understand when Chief speaks to me. I can understand when other Geechee people speak to me, man. I'm a Gullah Geechee, bro. I got Geechee in the blood, up and down. It is
but
what
you
it
know
is.
what though? Hey, cuz, you know what? You're not just Geechee, man. You've been Geechee. And the thing about it being Geechee is like, even if you don't speak the language, even if you mute, even if even if you don't know you Gullah Geechee, you still Geechee. If you have ancestry. And I think that part right there is the part that we really have to knock home for our people at this point, because there's you see it because there's an awakening. There's an awakening.
Oh, yeah.
People are waking up.
Right now, man, being part of this culture is popping. You hear people talking about it in the entertainment world. You hear people like Killer Mike talking about they from Georgia and they be repping their Geechee ancestry hard down there in Georgia. I mean, them boys ain't playing around. Here in South Carolina, you know, we holler about South Cac. You know, that's where we holding up the South Cac end. They holding up the Georgia end. I got friends. I got friends and family down in Jacksonville that's repping hard too. It's amazing, man. It is, and we need to bring that. We need to recognize that. And we need to let everybody know exactly who we are, what we stand for, and what we represent.
Yeah, man. It's our nationality. You know, it's the forbidden nationality. You know, the oppressor of our people historically has always done things to alter who we truly are. And if we as a lineage of people, as a ethnic group of people, embraced our full nationality, it would change the way that we do business. It would change the way that we teach our babies. It would change the way we marry, the way we bury, everything.
It'll change from our aspect. It will change not only how we deal with the Geechee people here, but also how we deal with y'all over there in Sierra Leone, because we have made the
Exactly.
connection. The bridge. What do I say? Restoration in full effect.
For sure.
We have restored the lineage. I was just talking to
Facts.
Fatia just the other. I was just talking to Fatia just the other morning. You know, she telling me all about what she going through with her son and her sister and everything. So their family bond is building. I talked to Macaulay. Me and you talk every
Yeah.
day. we
I talked to
always
Ben
drop.
Coley this morning, man. I talked
Oh,
to
you
Ben
did?
Coley this morning. I was asking him,
Okay.
I was asking him if he was going to be able to come through the chiefdom this month. He said, "Nah, it's going to have to be next month. He got a visitor." So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, yeah,
but,
yeah.
it's what it is.
He reaches
Like
out
what
to
you
me.
said.
Katia reaches out to me. Our other Sierra Leone cousin reaches out to me. Mishak. So these bridges are being connected on both sides of the Atlantic. An awakening is happening. They can't stop it. It's what the ancestors want. They want
That's
it.
right. I
I
said
don't know who talked. I don't know who talked to their ancestors, but I talked to mine, and I blessed the altar this morning. You know, and I told them this morning. I talked to Papa Jim this morning. I said, "Man, help me get through this interview we gonna have today." I asked Sarah Pedro, walk with me. I talked to Papa Joe. I tell him walk with me, and
yeah,
sometimes I never
yeah,
know
man.
how our show is going to turn out or what's going to happen, but they always make a way. You feel me?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
they always make a
Baba,
way. And
can I
I
ask you a
always work. What's that?
Go ahead.
I never know how these shows are going to turn out, but so far it has been a blessing. It has been good, and I absolutely love it. I
Yeah, man.
absolutely. Man, this last year has been an amazing journey for me. I I've met so many people this last year, man. I've met senators, book authors, legends like Cecil Williams. All of these people are Geechee connected. Every last single one of them Geechee connected, man. So I rep it hard. I represent, bro. I represent to the
Yeah,
fullest.
man. We ain't got no choice. Hey, cuz, we ain't got no choice. I think Kenya wanted to ask you something.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you something because you're always saying that your wife is Gullah Geechee too. Did you meet her in South Carolina or did you meet her in New York?
Oh
And
no
y'all
no
just
no no
happened
no
to
no
be.
no 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 no! I met Lisa 1982 in Bronx, New York. That's when me and Lisa met.
And y'all both was Geechee.
Yeah, we did. We had no idea. No, no.
Mm.
Me and Lisa got married in Harlem. We got our reception was at the Savoy Manor. Um, Matter of fact, and I told Chief, I don't know if you know Kenya, but this coming May, me and Lisa will have been married 40 years.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
we're coming up on our 40th year anniversary, and we are a straight Geechee family.
Mm.
That's what I
Say
like to
that.
say.
Say that. Say that,
Yeah,
man. Bluff.
but
Let me
yeah,
know.
but yeah, I met her. I met her in the Bronx, New York. We lived in the same building. Um, I,
That's
I was
crazy.
I was talking to her mother before, and I had a relationship with her mother before I had a relationship with her. But mama put the good in word, put the good word in for me, and and we've been
That's
kicking it
dope,
ever
man.
since.
That is awesome.
That's dope. I didn't know that. Only a wife would ask that question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
she kind of threw me off with that. She kind of threw me off
but
with that. But yeah, she's a Harlem girl. She's a Harlem girl,
yeah.
and the
So
Bronx.
so Baba, I think this show was very informative. I think that we'll go back and other people will go back and take the time to watch through this and get a full understanding, because we've been calling people to a festival. We've been doing a heritage project for over a year, a show for over a year. And I just really wanted people to know that we're not just a gimmick. We're not just doing this for just to be doing it. We're actually getting somewhere with it, and that you know, this festival has to happen. We did open it up. I don't know why nobody wants to come in and say anything, but the show is open to you. We have 15 more minutes where it's open mic. You guys can access the link, come right into the show. We'll add you on. You can make a comment, ask a question, you know, contribute to the conversation. But right now, it's all about rallying support for the Orangeburg Gullah Geechee Heritage Festival. It's all about organizing support for that. We have a vision for it, but you know, let it be a community vision, let it be a collective vision. We want to provide the educational background necessary to really make the festival practical. You know, if you can just take the facts of what we put here for you today into context, you have the basis, the theme for festivals for years to come. You know why Orangeburg is important. You understand that Orangeburg people are Gullah Geechees. You understand that we have the same connection to Sierra Leone as all Gullah Geechees do, and the Congo, and Nigeria, and Africa as a whole. That we are a people, whether we speak the language, whether we from the islands, whether we from the Midlands, whether we from New York, Chicago. Today we had a conversation that encompassed that, and it really gives you the national face of who we are and what we're striving to be. Baba, it's always good. It's always good for us to just get on here and chop it up. I believe so many people trust our information because they understand our characters is solid. That's very important. There's a lot of cultural sensationalism, so to speak. You know, people who are promoting cultural aspects. But what makes it real powerful for me is that we focus on the historical narrative. We focus on the family narrative. And it's not just local, but it's global. And I believe that right there puts it all in the proper perspective. We talking about our Creole cousins and our American cousins down in Trinidad and our Seminole cousins out there in Oklahoma and down in Florida. And we talking about our cousins up there in what do you call it, Nova Scotia, Canada, or Mexico, or wherever we at. We have cousin populations. We have whole populations that broke off of us. And so it's a very important thing. And it's just beautiful, man. It really is. To do this with you as my big cousin. You know, we got to keep that in perspective too, man. You my big cousin, man. You just ain't no ordinary person. So
man, just to go back a little bit further, man. I'm 63 years old now, man, and this is how I choose to spend my time. I choose to spend my time reconnecting with not only my American cousins, but I connect with my African cousins also. And I love the relationship that I developed with them. One, now I talk about Foday and Bakoli all the time, but my guy is Mayagi from the Congo. You know, man, Mayagi proves that Congo connection. He told me himself. He said, "No, both his parents are Congolese. He comes straight from the DRC, and Mayagi is my dude. Shout out to him and his fiance. You know, he's getting ready to get married. You know, they live now. Just to show you how worldwide we are. Miyagi lives in Sweden now. He's a part of the African community in Sweden, and me and him talk. Me and him talk on a regular basis.
We gotta bring him on. We gotta bring him on, man. We gotta bring him in Fatia through.
Yeah. I mean, he would love to come on and explain the Congo side of things. But both his parents are Bakongo, you know.
Yeah, man.
And
it's powerful, bro.
I just love that aspect of finding all these different DNA relatives. As a
You
matter
know
of
what's
fact,
beautiful about it? What I find most rewarding about it is the reception. Um, from those who actually did the DNA test themselves because they wanted to find us too. You know what I mean? It's very, very
yeah,
important
oh yeah,
because
hey,
when you
hey,
know,
that's what he told me. He told me himself that that's why he took the test because he wanted to know if there was people connected to him on the American side. Because not only does he told me himself, not only does he connect to me, but he connects to other African Americans from South Carolina that, that I have no idea who they are, but whoever this ancestor is that connects me and him connects him to other people in South Carolina. So that's very
right.
powerful also.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. You know, the Congo contributed more Africans to the transatlantic slave trade than any other place, than any other people, regardless, than any other
Oh yeah,
region. You know, and you know, we all got it. We all got it up in us. We talk about the Nkissis, and we talk about the Wanderer. We talking about them, you know, them face mugs, and we talking about the Stono Rebellion. We talking about Congolese people right there in
right,
Carolina and Georgia,
right then and there.
Florida.
Um, I
Yeah,
mean, I just happen to love that Mende ancestry. That's just because of what we can prove so far with the Mendes connecting them to a chiefdom and a village. But I'm probably more Congolese than anything else. I'm like 35% Congolese, 20% Mende and everything. But like as we've been saying, man, we're multi-ethnic. We're a multi-ethnic group of people. But the source is the base is Africa, is West Central Africa to be in particular. And a lot. Let me say this real quick too, man. A lot of people want to claim Kimite, which is nothing wrong with claiming Kimite, but we are Western Central Africans. Our closest connection is to that West Central Africa.
for
Yeah,
sure.
Egypt, Egypt, and all that. It's all well and good. It's all well and good to be a part of Kimite, but our closest direct descendants is from West Central Africa, and
That's
that's
true.
I think more of us need to recognize that.
That's true. That's very, very true. And you know, that's one of the things I like. And then also is the interconnection between the regions. You know, when you understand the connection between North Africa and West Africa and East Africa and the different regions, then you realize that we've been here for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and we've been migrating and moving and mixing and recreating ourselves. But like you said, we are closest related to the Africans that you will find today living in West and Central Africa.
Yeah,
When you go deep into these African oral traditions, their origin stories, like the Soninkes, a lot of them will take you back to East Africa anyway. A lot of them say, "Well, we came from the
oh
Nile.
yeah,
We came from over
man.
Nubia."
Man, I've done so much research. I mean, we could really go into the conversation deeper and deeper and deeper. I can show you things about us, man, that most people may not even realize. And there's other people who can do it also. Because I don't only just study the West Central Africa. I will go into East Africa and study the Zulus and the other ethnic groups in South Africa. Man, I've done it, man, and I'm an amateur. So if I can find all this information out, I'm sure other people can find this other information out also. Because the
Yeah, it's
DNA,
out there.
the DNA will get you through the so-called 1870 brick wall. You know,
Yeah, brick wall.
But
it
it's
will
more
get
than
you
that.
through. It will get you through the brick wall. Because once I got over that wall, oh my God, it was like a floodgate opened up once I took that once I did that DNA test. And I
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
tested with like three or four different companies. I'm about to get ready to test with another one, and it's only just to verify everything and connect everything. What I already know. I know this. I know this stuff like I know palm of my hand.
Oh
I've been
yeah,
doing
for
it.
sure.
I've been doing it. You've been doing it. Other people been doing it. So it is what it is. And,
Yeah, for
and, and,
sure,
we-
for sure.
and, we-
It's very
and we
rewarding.
yeah.
It's very
Um,
rewarding. I know one of the features that I would like to see at the Orangeburg Gullah Geechee Heritage Festival is an emphasis on genetic genealogy. I know they have a lot of festivals where they
yeah.
do they do cultural dancing and things like storytelling, but I would really like for um, you know genetic genealogy to be a main theme,
Exactly.
a feature
You know.
of the Orangeburg Festival because we have so many
Chief.
people who's involved in it.
Chief, this family, this Cleckley Johnson family has been very blessed because a lot of us have already DNA tested. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's more to be tested, but a good bit of our family members are
Oh
already
yeah,
tested. So they are, they may not be as deep into it as me and you are, but they are tested. And what they don't know, see, we can connect the dots.
yeah,
You feel me?
yeah,
We can connect the dots,
yeah.
and that would be a good part of the Gullah of this Geechee festival. I mean, we could have drummers and libations, but I can go out there and connect us
Oh
historically.
yeah, oh yeah. You just touched on something real important that's a part of the Lost and Found project is getting tested.
Yeah.
A lot of people are afraid to get tested. A lot of people don't know what it means. Some people think it might hurt, but it's completely harmless. It doesn't hurt you. There
What's
are
they?
some there are some aspects of it that you want to consider because people have their beliefs about their DNA, and I know my mama burnt her hair. You know what I mean?
My mama
So
did too.
let alone spitting in some tubes. So some people got some ideals about getting hold of that DNA, and
Yeah,
but I think that the reward it outweighs the risk
the,
because what you get from it's far more rewarding than the fear that you may have prior.
hey,
Um,
hey, man, it's like this. It's like this, man. Whoever would have thought a small town boy like me, someone born in Orangeburg, grew up in New York, connecting to these African kingdoms. You
yeah,
know, I it blew my mind from the things that I've learned from you over the past year or two, man. Because your knowledge is way above mine. Your knowledge is vast. You you showed me some things that I didn't have no idea about, and I'm a small town guy. So if a small town boy like me, like little old Rock. That's what they called me when I was a little boy. And everybody was
Brother
calling me
Rob.
Rock. If Rock can connect to these people and other people in this area that I know of that have already tested, I'll mention one brother. He's in our group, Russell Sprinkle.
Yeah, Sprinkle.
Russell Sprinkle. He from Cole. I know all his people, and he got a big family. He got a big family, man, and they are Balanta descendants. Like
Wow.
like we like ourselves, we're Mende descendants. I know people that have Yoruba heritage. I know people that have Igbo and heritage, and they know
Yeah,
this, and they
for
know
sure.
this.
For sure.
So
And that goes back to the Pan African nature of the slave trade, the Pan
oh
African
yeah,
nature of the communities.
oh yeah,
I'm pretty, I'm hip. I get it, man. I think that the information just got to keep flowing. Talking to you, someone who's from Coke, someone who actually lived outside of South Carolina and went back. It's very helpful for me because I wasn't born there. I've been there many times. Parents from down there, but for me, other than visiting, being in contact with my cousins and them, you give me information about the bird that I wouldn't have no other way.
oh
My
yeah,
parents and my family have given me information about my family that I need to know, but I'm learning details about Orangeburg history from you that it needs to be in the curriculums. It needs to be in the curriculums.
So, okay. Well, yeah. Well, and that is a very good thing. And like we were saying earlier, yeah. Let's get this Gullah Festival thing going. People have reached out to me. I know people that want to see this happen. I think the people will enjoy it. Um, I know people want to be a part of it. I know people that want to assist with making this thing happen. We have the idea. We just got to get the committee and the people to be involved.
All right, no problem, man. So we've been on here for 2.5. About to end this live. But hopefully everyone has been able to benefit from the knowledge, the wisdom, and the understanding of the Gullah House Show today. Baba Rock, man, thank you so much, Kemoh, man, for always coming through properly, man, and making sure that we have the elder perspective. We got the real deal coming from the bird. It don't get no realer than this. Sister Bernice said, great show. Thank you, sis, for always tuning in.
Yeah.
That's my
being
girl.
part of the Orangeburg Festival. She got to be a part of the festival.
Oh yeah, that's my good friend.
Yeah, Dr. Davis. We're calling y'all out by name. Dr. Davis, Tammy. I want to see Cecil Williams out there.
Okay,
You understand?
yeah.
So we calling them out. We talking about Matthews. We calling them out. Come on out and let's put on for our county, so we can show other people what it means to do this. Because we're just an example of what can happen, and it's a very powerful thing, man. Baba, it's nothing but love. We got a few more comments coming in. Lastly, and it's beautiful, man, that the people have tuned in.
Hold up, this. I see somebody.
Even though we didn't get no caller.
Yeah,
I see somebody asking me about. Yeah, but hold up, Chief, before you go. Somebody's asking me about croaker fish here in Orangeburg. Man, you can get croaker.
Okay.
You can get croaker just about anywhere here in Orangeburg, Baba. Because we could go up to Crossroads, we can go to Pauline's, we go out there to Bamberg, we get you some croaker. That ain't no problem at all. I got people who will take you out to the pond, and I got a pond myself out there. We can get some croaker.
Oh yeah, we're country boys. I don't think they get that down there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, man. I can walk out this door right now and get you some croaker, some deer meat. Get you some hash. I get you some hash. I get you a shot of that good old moonshine if you want it. But them boys I hang out with, they make it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to say this because y'all was talking about Hilton Head earlier, right? So I looked at the demographics to see the race demographics of Hilton Head now. It is 78% European and only 7% white, 13% Hispanic.
7%
78%.
78% Booker, Hilton Head. And what about Orangeburg? Orangeburg about 80%.
I've been down to Hilton Head. I've been Mount Pleasant. I've been all down in the Low Country, and it's true. You do see a lot of Buckler walk. They walking around and land in areas that rightfully should be ours. I was amazed by how much of Buckler people you see walking around North Charleston, downtown Charleston.
Yeah.
Hey, some of them know just about as much as our history as we do. I've been on tours with them. I've been on tours with them and had to straighten some people out because they do get some wrong information. But I've been on Gullah tours and had to jump in on the conversation and be like, oh, hold up, wait a minute. It didn't go like that. It went like this. I love doing that, man. I love setting them straight on our
history. What? I can't wait until we get that tourism infrastructure popping in Orangeburg and Bamberg and Aiken, because we got so many sites and so many historical events and places to commemorate. And that's what tourism is about, connecting people to where they come from and where history is at. I feel like our history has been swept under the rug for so long that now is the time to unveil Orangeburg's true history and make sure that our people don't get left behind. It's comments is coming in, so we're gonna keep on letting them go for until they exhaust. You know.
Listen, I seen a few people that said they wanted to be involved in the committee. So if you want to be involved, please send us a message on our YouTube channel or on Gullah House Show Facebook like page, and we'll add you to the group. We're gonna create a committee.
Yeah. So we'll be in contact with y'all. For now, we're gonna piece it out. We got nothing but love and value for our people, man. Bye-bye, Kemoh. We are the history, just like Sister Barnisa said. We are them. It is us. And, you know, it's the reawakening, man. I appreciate you very, very much. Restoration is indeed in order. Geechee Without Borders. Shout out to everybody out there. Make sure y'all get in contact with Baba Kemoh, the #1 Gullah Geechee historian and genealogist in Orangeburg County. Let's go. All right. Got nothing but love for y'all, man.
Yeah, man.
That's real talk. That's real talk, Baba.
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.
Any roots?
One
One fat boo.